Hello and welcome back to Redirecting. Recently I shared a video of a young woman from Africa that was basically saying that African Americans are not needed in Africa, but that our money is welcome for the most part. I wanted to share a couple of responses that I got from that. Of course, there are a lot of comments in the comment section that I haven't had a chance to go through all of them, but these were direct messages that were sent to us. And so I'm going to share those messages with you and come back and just expound a little bit. Shalom, Sister Deborah. My heart is hurt by what a Congolese sister feels about American-born fellows. Out of the fullness of the heart, the mouth speaks. I wonder from what source she drinks to allow her heart to be filled with such pride and arrogance against people who were forcefully dragged out of Africa. Is this Congolese lady bought or what? There is really nothing to pride about in our situations in Africa. Is she part of the ruling, corrupt, elite families who are capitalizing on the poverty of the majority? Because the deals our governments make with the whites, the Asians, etc., only benefit the leaders and the elite few. It is not about the people. So most likely this lady is speaking for the few who are making it in life through links with corrupt governments, dealings with the superpowers. This reminds me of the situation I found myself in after having been outside my country of birth for 3 years. I had resigned from work when the salary was no longer even enough for transport fares to and fro. People who go to work because that's where there is internet access to search for opportunities abroad, and to make sure that people come to work even where there was no salary coming month in. Company buses would take people from their doorsteps. I had never thought I would leave my country to live in another. The reason why I applied for a passport was just in case of business trips from workplace. Before I knew it, I was looking for opportunities outside. After 3 years being outside and coming back hoping things had changed, those who remained already were seeing someone who sold out, traitor, unpatriotic, someone who thinks has better qualifications and better knowledge now, and all this do is sabotage you. You try to make them see that you are nothing like that, but because you get to see some elements of corruption in how they do things, and they want to fit in, but you choose to be different. They see you as an enemy. Now imagine the magnitude of the prejudice if it were somebody who were born and grew up in America, who looks like them and has come to live and work among them. The superpowers will fuel feuds between those who returned, American-born, and those who never left, African-born. Former colonial powers working through our corrupt governments thrive by divide and rule. As long as Africa has corrupt governments, it is not safe for those born in America to return. They may pretend to be against the ill treatment by mere words without action, toothless barking dogs. Behind the scenes, they will be in cahoots with the superpowers. I feel sorry for this Congolese lady. She doesn't see that she is mistaking fellow brothers and sisters for enemies and celebrating the enemies who have terrorized us and continue to divide us while stealing our resources. I have a feeling that the UN spearheaded the formation of the AU to give the impression that Africa controls Africa. If the AU was independent from the UN, it would not be silent on reforming the United Nations and other global multilateral political institutions addressing land grab concerns. The much polarized green economy agenda and equity. If AU was in control, there would be no foreign military bases in Africa. China would not have police stations in Africa, etc., unless Africa can also have military bases and police stations in foreign lands. The continent needs to do more for itself, including domestic mobilization of financial resources. If AU was in control, was not led by corrupt authorities, there would be no corrupt government in Africa. This is exactly the reality in my country of birth, where the president gets with being unconstitutional. The government is double-mouthed. They pretend to care. Yet if they really cared, there would be reforms. The army and police would not be partisan, and poverty would be a thing of the past. Right now, the state is captured by the ruling party and the elite few. The leader is flying around the globe looking for investors and blaming sanctions when the root problem is domestic. Domestic mobilization of resources, which can take place only if the necessary reforms are made. And it will be great accommodating fellow brothers and sisters who desire the best because history tells them they were snatched out of the land, therefore naturally have a sense of belonging. Only greedy hearts who are capitalizing on the poverty of the majority in Africa can feel superior to the rest and are ready to call anyone who thinks different unpatriotic. Most likely, this Congolese lady is amongst a few benefiting from African government's questionable dealings. Growing up in a country liberated from white rule, I haven't tasted yet the benefits of the resources of the land. The corrupt government blames it on sanctions when it is them who are plundering resources and capturing state institutions. Grew up in the reserves where any time you can be moved to another place. Majority of the country population are in the reserves or of colonial rule, with no title deeds, no place to call their own. The liberation from colonial rule is for the most part in principle. The term born free still means nothing to those born after the so-called independence from white rule. It seems indirectly the whites are still in control, plundering resources with our corrupt leaders. Grew up and deprived of bonding with our fathers who lived in the ghetto working in factories or as house servants to the colonizers or in the farms. Only saw them during pagan holidays and other public holidays, and there was nothing to show they were coming from work. Mothers would provide bus fares to them for them to be able to go back. Or fathers deliberately emptied themselves of every cent so the mothers see how much they cared when they would ask back just enough for bus fare back. Some fathers were rarely able to come during the holidays and would send home the little they could through those who made it to go to their families. When they finally managed to, as children, we would tell our mothers we didn't know so-and-so's father was there. And our mothers would teach us manners by telling us other children also think your father is not alive. They have never seen him, so they also do not know. But be kind to each other out there. Do not ask each other unnecessary questions unless you want others to cry. And that's bad. Mothers raised us through peasant farming to supplement fathers' meager earnings. Together with them, we were the laborers in the fields. Before going to school in the morning and after school, and during weekends, went to school barefoot for the most part, 4 to 5 kilometers away, fetched water from a river 2 to 3 kilometers away, fetched firewood from the mountains. Mothers encouraged us to work hard at school so that this kind of life would not be our portion forever. Their hope was that their children would get educated. They would also have better lives, their children empowered to take good care of them in old age. But where are we today? Their dreams are shattered because of our corrupt governments. We are educated but jobless. We cannot take care of our parents unless we leave to greener pastures, especially to Europe, America, Canada, and Australia. People are educated with university degrees, but the economy is dead. Everyone wants to leave, but it is not easy. It is a big breakthrough when one manages to get a visa to go abroad and work. The sad thing is that many, after the opportunity to leave for greener pastures came, they never got a chance to see their parents again. It is not easy to go back. It is so damn expensive that you can't afford to go as often as you want, and parents die longing to see their children once again. Once parents are gone, going back is much more painful because it awakens the unfulfilled desires to make life better for them. Not only parents, siblings, and relatives. There is painful separation, where the next time will be at the graveyard mourning for a beloved you last saw the day you bade each other farewell years ago as you left for greener pastures. Nearly 40 years after liberation from colonial rule, the industries have closed. Nothing has changed. It is even worse now. The government continues to corrupt dealings. The government continues in corrupt dealings and victimizing the people who are crying for reforms. It seems the former colonial masters are playing in the background indirectly in cohorts with African governments. There is really nothing to pride in unless one is benefiting from the corrupt status quo. I am praying that the Most High paves a way for a righteous leader to lead in my country of birth. The fear of the Most High will make a difference. Since I was born, I am yet to taste the benefits of the so-called independence from white rule. Righteous leaders will welcome the return of those who were once snatched out of Africa and will not tolerate any prejudice against them. The fear of the Most High will make the difference. Now, after my reply to the sister, here is an additional response that I received from her. Thank you, and I love you too, Sister Deborah. The more you and our dear brothers and sisters in America know about the reality of the ordinary man in Africa, the more you can pray targeted prayers as you seek guidance on whether to return to Africa or not. In life, it is safe to have our steps ordered by the Most High. Just to share a post by a fellow Zimbabwean expressing the reality of the situation in the country right now to give you a glimpse of the reality there. The post is titled, Just an Ordinary Man, referring to ordinary Zimbabwean. Just an ordinary man, the Zimbabwean situation is wholly depressing. There's little hope for the common man, the man without political connections. To have access to wealth, you have to be politically connected. To have access to health care, you have to be politically connected. Justice, especially in the criminal justice system, is for the corrupt or those with the right political connections. You can steal all you want, rape, kill, or maim. You are safe, as long as your politics is right. But if you are an ordinary man, you pay your taxes, and your taxes are used to buy farming equipment, which farming equipment is given to the political elite. Even if they can afford to do so, the political elite refuse to pay for it, and the government passes a law which says that you, the ordinary taxpayer, must again assume the debt for the farming equipment which the political elite has refused to pay for, and pay for it yourself. While you pay the debt for farming equipment for the political elite, you stagger in a clinic or hospital desperate for health care, but there is no medicine. You have to buy it yourself. Your medical aid, if you have it, is simply not accepted. Or if it is accepted, you have to pay a huge shortfall. If you ask why you have to pay for medical services, which are supposed to be free, or why you have to pay a shortfall when your medical aid is supposed to meet the cost of your health care, you are told that medicines, drugs, and medical equipment are imported, and there is a shortage of foreign currency to import them. So you have to meet the cost of such a shortage. No one tells you that when it comes to importing cars for chiefs who are known allies of the ruling elite, there is no shortage of foreign currency. No one tells you that when foreign currency is being allocated, preference is given to fuel tycoon from rural Shirugui, who uses it to fund political party programs, which ensures that the ruling elite remain in power. When you take your child to school, you are told that you have to pay school fees, and in addition, buy all the stationery and all the uniforms and all the equipment which your child has to use for the new curriculum, which was introduced by some government minister who looks like a dunce. But do you have to buy everything when you're paying your taxes and school fees on top of it? No one tells you that your money is going to fund the education of the children of the political elite who go to elite schools and expensive universities abroad, for which the ruling elite do not pay, even if they can afford to, while your child, for whose education you are paying, has to contend with demotivated teachers who are lowly paid, appalling living conditions in a boarding school, a meager diet, and a hectic workload, and your child's only consolation being that he or she will join the ranks of the country's multitude of unemployed youths when he or she finishes school. If you are an ordinary man, you pay vehicle license fees for your car, but the road on which you travel is riddled with potholes. Every few months, you have to fork out a large sum of money to repair the front suspension of your car, which the potholes would have damaged. And when you travel on the highway, you have to pay numerous toll gate fees before you reach your destination. Yet the road on which you travel is a death trap because no one has bothered to resurface it or widen it to ensure that you travel safely on it. But have you noticed that the ruling elite in their big luxurious cars do not pay vehicle license fees? Neither do they pay anything at the toll gates, even though they can afford it. I find it funny that the struggling man with a rickety car is the one who must pay toll gate fees, while the opulent politician in a Porsche is exempted. I could go on, but I must go to work and toil so that I can pay my taxes, so that the ruling elite can maintain their privileged lifestyle, for I am just an ordinary man. Now, to the sister in Africa, we've exchanged many different messages between each other. And I thank you for reaching out. I thank you. I appreciate it. And I certainly understand and I feel very strongly about what you have shared with us. I wish that there was more that can be done to help our people on the ground versus just the African leaders. And so when you share information about the AU, I have spoken about this before, that I wish that there was more they were doing for the people of the land and not just for the organization, the African Union. what about the people? I share your same concerns, and I really appreciate you for reaching out to us in the way that you have, because at the end of the day, when the leaders are the only one who can prosper and benefit from the wealth of Africa, then that is certainly not fair to the people of Africa. And that has always been where my heart is. My heart has always been with the people who are going through these things. And I thank you, sister, for your heartfelt concerns about us that do have a desire to be among our own people. I thank you for sharing with us the truth, because that is what we need in this hour. We need the truth. And when we have everything coming at us telling us that we're being hateful for simply sharing a hateful video, from my perspective, the words that came from the woman in that video, her words were hateful and hurtful and divisive. And us talking about it is not what is causing the division, is that rhetoric, okay? I personally, if I were to live or be in Africa, I would want to be there to help my people that are there. I would want to live among my people, those who are in the truth, like you are, knowing who we are, knowing that we are the Israelites, knowing that we have a place in Yah's heart. That is where I would want to be, okay? Many things that you have said just really just confirmed what we already know, okay? They've confirmed what we already know. And I think that our people here, many of which get upset when we talk about these things concerning Africa, many of our people here believe that we're being divisive as well. And there's nothing I can do about that, nothing we can say about that. But I just want those of you who live on the continent, that were born there, that follow this ministry, follow this channel and the Watchman Reports, I want you to know that the love that I have for my people here, I have that same love for you all too. And I remember sharing my story of when I was young, very young. I was a teenager, and I would see how the people in Africa were living, and that really touched me to the core. And even as a child, I wanted to reach out and be able to help my people on the continent. And so I definitely have love and compassion for my people. I know that not all of you feel the same way that this woman in the video feels. I know that, okay? And I even said that in the video. So for anyone to think that my video was filled with hate, you obviously didn't look at the whole video. Or if you did, you just wanted to draw your own conclusion because we responded to that. But what we are doing is we are trying to inform, in which we've had some of our people here in the U.S. actually thank us for pointing these things out that they didn't consider. Okay, that is what we are here for. We wanted to give both sides because we were being presented with this one side, many voices out of Africa calling us there. But this woman, in my opinion, she clarified that there's really a call for our resources and our finances from some. Those of you on the ground who are not benefiting from all of the resources of Africa, I thank you for telling us the truth, right? But those who are just saying, look, send your money and send your support, but we're not the same, we don't need you and all of this, those of you who feel that way, then I don't know what to say to that other than I want my people to know, so that they don't go there thinking that everyone is filled with love and compassion for us. But those of you who left messages because you have visited Africa and you were greeted with warm greetings and love, I appreciate those messages as well. But we've also spoken with others who have visited Africa who told us that we definitely better go well connected. Of course, if you're going to a specific village who was expecting you, you're going to get that warmth. But don't think that every person within that country is going to feel the same way that your host feel. The village that you may go and visit, okay, they may be very warm and loving and kind, Torah observant, followers of the Most High Yah. And so we're going to get that from those groups. But there are Muslims over there. There are other people over there who may be Christian who may not feel the same way as our Israelite Ivory brothers and sisters. And so I just want you to understand that and not think that everyone is going to greet you with open arms and love. We've even had Africans to tell us that there is a strong presence of xenophobia, and not just in South Africa or Ghana, but in various regions throughout the continent. So that is my purpose in talking about this, because the year of return is upon us. So many are excited about it, in which that is fine. We are not trying to discourage you from visiting, but what we want you to consider and realize and understand is that visiting is a whole different thing from moving there. Your visit and your travels there may be awesome. Okay, they may be very enjoyable and productive, and meeting people and loving people and embracing people. That's what you expect, right? And that's what you get many times when you visit. But when you go there and you are a permanent resident, your experience might change. It may be different as you begin to navigate to the various regions. Okay, it may be a total different experience. And so that's all we're saying. And also, we want to keep in mind, many Africans tell us that it is very expensive to live there. Visiting is one thing, but living there is another. A lot of the resources that you may be used to living abroad are not there. And as you saw from the letter that the sister sent to us, many of them that leave Africa, they are going to greener pastures because they are trying to earn money, earn a living so that they can take care of their families. But many times they never make it back to be able to do that because it's difficult living there for some people. Okay? It's just a lot to consider, family. And so I think this conversation about Africa, in my opinion, is very productive because we're getting information even from the continent where people are telling us to proceed with caution. Some people are telling us to come. Some people are telling us to proceed with caution. But understand who is saying what and what would their motivation be for saying it. This sister right here, I can certainly trust her words because she is one of the ones who is not experiencing that connectivity to all of the resources of Africa. And so she's telling us of the real on-the-ground experience of most Africans. Most Africans are not able to do the things that even the young lady who did the video, she's in the camera, able to spew this type of nonsense. Okay, so her position is definitely different than someone living in a shanty town. Okay, her experience is definitely different. So we need to consider all of these things. Who do you want to get your information from? Okay, do you want to get it from those on the ground or those with an agenda? Okay, with that I will say shalom. Be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new uploads on this channel, and also comment, share, like, and subscribe.